So are you someone who embraces technology?
I embrace technology and I embrace nature, and I believe that because we are so genuinely natural on our own, we came from nature, that technology should be in service of our natural needs and not pull us towards some kind of artificial new thing that was so far out of our own reach that we can't keep up, and then disasters occur. Such as anything you've seen that technology has caused harm for humanity in any way. That's what I mean. I just think that we need to slow down sometimes and check, is this natural to our needs? Is this what we really want? Is this serving us only in the immediate pleasure moment, the instant gratification way, a shallow need? Or should we create a technology that forces us to have our better selves become more active? Does it appeal to our better selves, or does it appeal to our shallow, immediate gratification self? And I think a lot of our current technologies, such as these phones, the touch screen, it's so much about convenience, speed, and just getting things out of the way so you can move on to the next thing. I think it's causing people to always find themselves in a state of never being in any one thing, because they're always in a state of moving on to the next thing.
Yeah,
everything is just quickly skipped. You know?
Yeah, I think those moments we used to have in between activities too, where we processed what we did and recentered, those are often now occupied with technology. We now are looking at our phones in between every moment, you know? In the waiting room, we're looking at our phones. These used to be times when I think we would sit, recenter, and digest everything, and then reorient for the rest of the day.
100%. I think it's a very good additional it's a very good way to put what I was also trying to say is, we like, that's a challenge to in between interesting tasks. We should be a little bored. We should be a little like searching for in our heads,
still
gotta wait this long, and then it forces you to like entertain yourself internally, mentally, and that's when you start coming up with ideas and thoughts. That's what first forces a child's mind to become creative, because it's bored. So it has to come up with something. It doesn't have a tablet to tap all the time. But it does now. Which whenever I see the kids with tablets and sitting in the grocery cart being pushed around the tablets all the time, and mom is like, you know, and I sympathize with moms. I understand. I'm sure it's difficult to keep your ADD entity from bouncing off the walls all the time. But if
ADD entity,
because that's what I feel like children are. That's how children are looked at.
Yeah, they are kind of like that. Yeah.
And so so I think that, you know, it's painful for moms to have to figure that out and deal with that on top of everything else. But I just think it's another one of those challenges. Like, pick your kid up. I know he's heavy. Pick him up though. He'll thank you subconsciously when he gets older. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the easy solution, is to give them something that's really stimulating to occupy them.
Stimulating in like the most surface, immediate gratification senses. But if you think about it, there's all kinds of like micro and macronutrients. The macronutrients is what we are consuming the most of, because it's the most immediately noticeably satisfying, you know, but the micronutrients, without those we're gonna die. You know, and we need the micronutrients as much as the macronutrients, and disease arises if we don't have the micronutrients. And I think the same way, that's what's happening. I think we're all embarking, not all, but I think a lot of people who are too infatuated with surface pleasure technology, immediate gratification technology, infatuating their every moment. I think they're embarking on a sort of emotional, psychological form of nutrient deficiency. You know, like there's something lacking wholesomeness in people's experiences, and I think depression and anxiety is one of the alarms, or some of the alarms that are going off in the human brain. At least some alarms are going off. I mean, I'm not a fan of how anxiety and depression is treated as the problem. It's not the fucking problem. They are the symptoms or the alarms being sounded, I think, by the human genome going, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what all of our emotional cues are.
Emotional what?
Cues.
Cues. Yeah.
Like indicators.
Yes.
Yeah, they're meant to signify something that's more about your way of being.
Yeah.
And that's just a channel of information we can take in to learn about whether what we're doing is working or not.
Yes. Yeah, I think our emotions are our guidance system. Mm-hmm. We want to find somebody who's more wise than us. Listen to our emotions, because I think our emotions is wiser than us, because it's always ahead of us. I mean, we do everything for our emotions, and I think our heads are just like the most obvious conscious level layer where most of the battle is fought, but the commanders and the kings are all in the emotional places. The emotions are the commands of the king and commands of the emperor, and the battle is fought at the thought level. We think about things, we figure it out. What job should I get next that'll fulfill me? So you think, you consciously try to go through all the cons, pros and cons and all this stuff, right? But the pros and cons, you check or X them off. Like, that's a good pro. That's a con that I'm willing to live with. You can check this stuff off and X these things off based on how it makes you feel. So you always relay things back to the king, the emperor, or the queen, whatever.
Good job. Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah. Well, so with technology though, I think part of the challenge is it's so responsive. It allows you to get that immediate manifestation of whatever you're trying to do. You can click and go to a whole new page. You can, all of that. It's so different than the way we are in reality outside of technology, where things move a lot slower, where actions take a while before you see the fruits of your labor.
100%. Yeah. But I think there is also like, you know what flow state is, right? That flow state, I have a hard time replacing that pleasure with anything else. It takes a while to get that flow state going. Once it's going, I feel like there's almost nothing better. I mean, I'm sure like loving someone is better in a different way.
You're saying that theoretically.
Huh?
You're saying that theoretically.
Well, I've felt the precipitation of love, and so I know what the full ocean could taste like, but the precipitated rainwater already tastes delicious. I expect the ocean to be incredible, So
that makes sense.
That's the only reason I guess I'm saying that. I'm sure that love is above that, but I don't think it's above that. I just think it's at a similar height, just in a different direction. It's like I think we have multiple dimensions of pleasure, but flow state requires actual effort. You can't get flow state without effort, and so it has to be a little bit challenging, not too much, because then you have anxiety, then you fall apart, you get stressed out. You can't have flow state that way. Or you also can't have flow state if you put no effort into it. You can't just fall into it and be like, yeah, take me, and I don't have to do anything. Like, that's not gonna be flow state. That's gonna be an unpleasurable sort of. It's just a temporary weird. Like, there's something unfulfilling about that. I love flow state also because it keeps me productive, but it's also meaningful. And I know I'm getting something done. That work ethic thing kicks in, or that work feeling kicks in. I like that.
Yeah. To me, I wonder though whether flow states and work are kind of a contradiction, and that flow state's actually more in alignment with play.
I think a flow state includes play necessarily, and I think without play, maybe flow states can't occur. And I think that play is the part that keeps the flow state from becoming too much work and too difficult and too, that's what keeps it from being stressful. You just always remind yourself, it's like, yeah, let's get this stuff done because it's important, but we don't have to freak out. Let's just have fun with it too,
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that play.
Or maybe it's just a way of reframing what it is when you mean work, or what one means when they say work. One thing that Aristotle talks about is the difference between the concept of work as kinesis and the concept of work as energeia. Kinesis is where you're considering work and the activity as something that you can complete. It's like you can check a box, there's steps in a process. It's something that you can resolve. Energeia is something that you do not complete. So work might be getting in the spirit of your creative nature. You know, it's much bigger than checking boxes. And that's, I think, what would pull you out of the flow state, is considering work as kinesis, where you're looking at this list of things that could be done. And then you're pulling out of the flow state. You're checking this guideline of activities.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I see flow state existing in pockets.
You got the dead mouse in you a little? Is that what?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I see flow state as existing in the pockets in between the checking on the list. To see if, like, can I check this off yet? It's like, but I think we have to have those in betweens, because I feel like there has to be some little tiny sense of obligation in there, because I think that what gets us in a flow state is something that if we find meaningful, we find that appeals to the parts of our intellect that we enjoy engaging in, and that is a little bit challenging. Because if it wasn't challenging, we'd probably be doing something that's already very routine. And if it's routine, it's not new. If it's not new, I'm not gonna be passionate about it. Because there's nothing new being added. Like, you can't become interested in something that's now the fifth time the same thing in your experience. It's not the fifth time you're experiencing the same exact thing in the exact same way. That's not going to be interesting. That's when people fall asleep. So I think boring work, boring jobs they can give you much flow state.
No.
And I agree that's whatever you say.
Kinesis. Yeah, like kinetic energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think kinesis. Yeah, so I don't mind checking off boxes, because checking those boxes off is a fairly simple, short duration task. It doesn't require a lot of.
I think, in terms of in between steps in the activity, it's checking, but I'm thinking more of the checking of the boxes as being the framing of the activity throughout the process. It's not just the checking of the box, but it's
why you're doing it?
Right. Yeah, that's really what I was going to say, is the intention behind doing the activity. Is the intention, does it make the thing just a means to an end? Is it just a step in a process? Whereas I think to get in the flow state, the intention has to be something where what you're looking at is all-consuming, and there's not some other thing that's orienting you outside of the activity.
Couldn't checking things off be part of that thing that's consuming you?
I don't know. Do you think so?
I mean, maybe some lawyers and some accountants and some nurses or doctors could potentially enjoy checking those things off. Physically, I guess. I know you're not just talking about physically checking lists off.
No, yeah.
But I guess would you mind giving examples of like all the ways in which, like, what do you mean by checking things off? I kind of understand, but maybe examples would help.
Like when you're working on a creative project and you have a mental map of where you're going.
Yeah.
And throughout whatever you're doing, when you pause for a minute or a second, or it's in between thoughts in the activity, you are framing what you're doing based on this checklist of things. And it reduces what you're doing down to just some small piece and something bigger. And it makes it a means to an end, to getting complete with the whole thing. It's pulling you out of what could be play, because play, I think, is exactly free of being a means to an end. There is no end to play, whereas work is something where it does require effort, and the thing you're doing is it's a strain. It's something that you want to do because it results in something. Something is made or produced. And that's why I think with flow states, I don't know if effort is a big part of it. Maybe. We've talked about getting going with a certain thing might require some effort. But if you're aware of the strain it is to do something, that would pull you out of losing yourself in it.
Potentially, but I also think that sometimes strain could be part of the game of it. Like we watch movies and we watch people struggle in it. Without conflict, movies are not good.
Right.
And we have to see them struggle, and that keeps us very engaged.
But we're not the ones struggling. We're observing the struggle and maybe experiencing it vicariously. True. But it's actually a very passive activity.
Yeah, that's true. It is passive, but we do mind it. We do mind the thing, right? Because if we don't mind it genuinely, we wouldn't genuinely be interested in watching the rest of it to find out how that incident got resolved. So we do mind it. So it definitely keeps us engaged, I guess. I do wonder, because effort, I guess, could pull us out of it, but I guess it does also require effort to pay attention to the details through which we understand what is actually happening in a movie. So like we have to understand conceptually, we have to put an effort in mentally to understand what just happened that is the problem. And then we have to put in effort to mentally digest and understand and process what is Columbo doing and why his work is working, how he worked that out. And as he's explaining, we have to pay attention and kind of understand what he's saying, but we also enjoy that. We enjoy understanding what he's saying. And once we are done with the movie, we feel like we're smarter. Because like that took some effort for me to figure out what he's talking about. And I enjoyed figuring it out. It took effort, but it was pleasurable and felt playful. So I guess that's where I think like the effort somehow becomes part of the play. But I just think that everybody has like a sort of brand of effort that is their specific brand, and other types of effort that is not their brand, that they just don't like, that just literally pulls them out of the flow state. But without...
Can you give me an example of that? What would be a category of effort? What would be, you said there's different brands of effort that have different effects on people.
Yeah, like go to the gym and work out. I have a friend of mine. Who's huge. He works out like crazy. He does bodybuilding. He gets a type of pleasure out of that effort, or Arnold Schwarzenegger. He gets a type of pleasure out of that effort that other people don't get. And that's his brand of effort. I don't know what he did psychologically within himself to treat that struggle like it's play. But he definitely did something. Because the results, you can tell by the results, he's been playing for decades. And it had to be play, otherwise he couldn't have kept himself going. That had to be that play. I think for him it was play because it stood in contrast to something else that was worse in his life. So I think some form of suffering has to be involved. It's just that suffering is not at the time of flow state, it's not at the time of play. But the play is play because it's against the background of struggle. Like, okay, fuck all that, can I just play now? But if we didn't experience that thing that we're running away from, that we dislike, that we found uncomfortable or painful, I don't know if play would feel so good,
Well, I guess I would say in response to the example of your friend is, I would ask, well, when it comes to work, why do we repeatedly do a certain type of work? And I think it's because we see the fruits of our labor. And that's what I would argue is going on with your friend, is he is seeing the fruits of his labor manifest right in front of him. And all the work he's doing, he is seeing the response of that. And that's the motivation for continuing to engage it.
But you're saying that the actual moves that he's going through are not enjoyable to him?
No, I don't think they would be very enjoyable to him. I think he enjoys what it is to feel accomplished in between each set, or at the end of a workout, or when he looks in the mirror. But I think he's working out to have some kind of physical effect. The working out is a means to an end. And the end is primarily why he's doing it.
I can see why one would think that. I can also see how that could potentially be true. I can definitely see how that could be true for a shit ton of people, maybe most people. But I think I've heard, I don't know if I've read it or heard it directly from Arnold himself. I mean, obviously I didn't speak to him. I don't know if I read it anywhere of him, like reportedly him saying it. But I think maybe it was in one of his books, because somebody else told me this, that he feels that when he's going through that hard strain, when it's really, really, like, it's really difficult, he almost kind of feels like it's an orgasm, a form of orgasm or something, because he loves it so much. And I think maybe it's potentially hard for a person who likes a specific brand of struggle see the other brand of struggle as pleasurable, because we just don't live in that world of like enjoying that. We enjoy this type of struggle, like there's challenges, cognitive, there's intellectual challenges, there's intellectual challenges that I enjoy the pleasure of having to figure out. It's not easy, but I enjoy the effort. I literally do. And I know you know this.
Because
you do it.
But a great part of the enjoyment is when I feel like I am getting pieces of the puzzle assembled. And actually, this is a real challenge for me, is enjoying it when I don't have any of the pieces put together. The unknowns, I know that's what the unknowns allows me the opportunity to try to piece things together, but it's the actual putting of the pieces together that gives the aha moment.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So which one do you enjoy the most?
The aha moment, the putting the pieces together. Well, not when I've got a puzzle that's all in disarray and I look at it and I'm like, how do I figure this out? It's once I start clicking pieces together and then I'm like, now it's assembling.
And do you feel like you always put things together to like a completion point?
No.
Everything
Absolutely
is sort of
not.
incomplete?
No, in fact, when I put pieces together, it's then that I become aware of just how grand the puzzle is. And I've got I thought it was a 1,000-piece puzzle, but when I put a few together, I'm like, oh geez, this is 10,000, and it's infinite.
Yeah, but does it bother you that it's a bigger puzzle than you thought?
Yes, it weighs on me. It weighs on me significantly.
All right. I've been wondering what's going to be the differences between you and I when it comes to intellectual pursuits, because you and I are so very similar in so many ways intellectually, I think, in terms of like how we enjoy the pleasure of intellectual pursuits. However, this is one difference, is that I enjoy when I complete one puzzle and it makes me realize, oh, this is not a 1,000-piece puzzle, it's a 10,000-piece puzzle. I'm like, ooh, more fun.
Right. Well, I think part of the challenge too is I'm trying to keep track of this puzzle it's a mental puzzle. And the bigger the puzzle gets, the more there is to keep track of and retain. And that's the part where I feel burdened. Is if I had a map of the puzzle that I didn't have to, adding to it doesn't require keeping track of all of the pieces that I've already put together, that would be different. But it's the retaining, I feel, this weight to keep track of everything and to see the connections between everything. And that requires retaining all of the puzzle pieces.
I can relate to that as well. It's weird how similar we are in this, but I feel like I know the place you're describing where you don't like walking, and I enjoy how, as you're describing it, I'm like, I walked there too, so I know what you're talking about. And don't you feel like, well, I guess what I've done, because I've been there, I've been to the point where I was like, Jesus Christ, how much shit I have to keep track of. But I didn't treat it like an imposter, like a problem. I just was like, this isn't necessarily part of the game, it's part of the whole thing.
Right.
But I've in my life, I've recently, in the last several years, I started just letting go of keeping track. And I just started migrating more over into what I feel like is more of a wisdom rather than an intellect, And I found that somehow wisdom becomes like the hand that sort of keeps track of shit for me. And it's as if my mind keeps track of things on its own. I don't have to feel like I have to manually do it. And I'm not so sure that I don't know if human beings are very different, how different we are brain-wise, and if maybe because I feel like this is possible for my brain, if it would be the same for yours. But I think you could just start letting go of what you think you need to keep track of. And I think you might be surprised to see that it actually is kept track of for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you lead with passion, meaning like you let your direction of choice be decided by your passion rather than what you think is important. Maybe then I think that you will realize that as long as you keep engaging passion is like this protruding root or tree or whatever, and there's a whole bunch of roots on the ground. You don't have to deal with all the roots. The tree is enough. Just touch the trunk.
Yeah, that's actually the analogy I was just thinking about. Is getting way out on the twigs of the branches and trying to keep track of all the twigs. But it's only when I kind of allow myself to come back to center and get in more of a still place where I don't feel burdened to keep track of everything. That's when I start to tumble back to the trunk. And the trunk is more of the central wisdoms, not the knowledge that exists way out in the periphery.
Like, you built the tree already. It's impossible for it not to exist now because it's in your head. You have these neural paths that are thicker than other neural paths that you haven't traveled or that you're not traveling as often. So whatever. And I also think that pleasure causes neural paths to thicken. Now, a neurologist, a psychologist could argue against that if it was untrue, but I suspect a neurologist would agree with me that pleasure thickens. As long as you act on pleasure, it'll thicken neural paths. And so what I'm saying is, I guess, that if you don't keep track of any of it, then the situation calls for it. It'll come up to you. Kind of like you're hugging the trunk of the tree, and the branch is still there. You're just not on it. You don't have to be on it. It's gonna hold its own. And then when you have a situation and you need to grab that fruit that branch has bared, you just climb up onto that branch. The tree is available to you. You don't have to hold the tree and all the branches yourself. There's a tree. It holds itself for you. That's why it's a tree. You are not the holder of the branches. You are the builder of the grower of the tree. The tree will hold its own. You don't have to hold the branches or the fruit. It's you've grown it, so just let it be there. And go back to when you need it, but don't. You can't even tend to other trees. You can't even tend to other branches if you keep holding on to all the branches. I mean, you're going to have all the branches real thin and frail, because all the branches can only be as thick as your strength can maintain holding all of them at once. That's going to end up creating pretty lousy branches, and the fruit are going to be not ripe and not good and not very fruitful. So I think you can let go of them and only go back on and climb onto them and add more to each branch when you feel the need, when the wisdom tells you to, when the pleasure or your passion causes you to. It's like, oh, I like that idea. Let's go in. What else is there? And only adventure into those intellectual questions when you enjoy it, not when you think you should. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think the challenge there is I see those intellectual questions and their potential answers as being a vehicle for some kind of change. And I'm looking at the present as lacking in some way. Whether it's society, my life, my own way of being, there's something lacking there. And this is the vehicle for change. So I'm turning the intellectual questions into a means to an end.
Did you?
Which is unfortunate.
You're taking the play out of your
I
own
am.
play.
That's what. Yeah, I think it is my work. That is very much. But I would also ask, how often do you feel like you need to control aspects of your mind? Do you feel like a tug of war between more like base urges or self-criticisms and higher ideals?
No longer. I used to have that struggle a lot.
Yeah.
In my mid-20s maybe. And as I was nearing 30, I found myself getting fed up by it, getting fed up with like feeling like I'm always at war with myself.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
And I also realized that being in that way doesn't actually bear much fruit for anyone, even me, to use.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only am I often at war with myself, tugging between what I genuinely enjoy and want and what I think my mind should be of service to, these two paradigms are at war with each other. Not only is it at war and it's not pleasurable for me, but it's also not even benefiting anyone anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I just, it also made me genuinely ask this question, this philosophical question, like, well, what is the point of me hanging out here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna just struggle? Like, but why?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of that? Are we all just gonna be in service of somebody else? Then is anybody gonna be happy because everyone's just serving somebody else? What about serving our own needs? We have to enjoy what we're doing. I just don't see how that could be argued against.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't see a good argument. I haven't heard one that says don't enjoy what you're doing. Do what you think you should and what others need from you. How the fuck do others even know what they need from me if they don't even enjoy anything? They don't know what part of their pleasure or needs to even attach the fruits that I painstakingly created and bared for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't even know how to eat the fruit and enjoy it, which I didn't enjoy making. Mm-hmm. It's just a circle jerk of displeasure for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's aspects that you would enjoy, theoretically. But what if it's just that phase of struggle that you have to go through? And once you grapple with yourself to a certain point, then it is more enjoyable. And it's just what you've talked about, where that suffering, that struggle is just a necessary prerequisite to get to the pleasure.
I think there's only so much necessary prerequisite struggle in between the pleasures, in between the goalposts.
That's valid.
That is sensible. And I think this is where people need to refine their brand of effort.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think everybody works at a different frequency. Some people can go longer without meeting their goals. Like, the goals can be further apart from each other, and
mm-hmm.
that struggle period can be longer, because I think they enjoy that struggle a little more than others. So
mm-hmm.
for them it can take longer, because technically, if you can enjoy it a little bit, then technically there's some little tiny goals in there. I just see flow state as a salt and pepper sprinkling combination of salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkle pleasure and effort. Well, gratification and effort. Sprinkle those at ratios that matches your palate,
mm-hmm.
your personal palate, and I think salt and pepper taste different for everybody. So I guess what I mean by that is that man, how do I explain this? It's also hard to keep my fucking hand on here and like keep switching this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Next time I'm getting someone to switch this.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it.
I can. My fiance could potentially do it too.
That's very nice of you to offer, and in case
I think she would be happy to.
And then my girlfriend will also show up, so maybe interchanged and shit.
Yeah.
Because it's like keeping me tethered to the ground.
Right. That would be. Yeah. I mean, you're splitting your awareness.
Oh my god. Yeah. I'm trying to fly, but like one of my wings, like 17 of my feathers are being like clipped right
17?
now. 17? Like 17 feathers, because I expect that there's like 700 feathers maybe.
Yeah.
So like some of them are clipped. More.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a third of my attention right now.
Yeah,
sort of.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. I mean, luckily I can still fly a bit, but not very far. Not very fast.
Yeah. But you have to keep touching down.
Yeah.
You can't just continue.
Yeah, like I said, this is not an effort that I enjoy.
Right.
Now. This is not part of my goddamn flow state.
Yeah. So the flow state, though, I mean, when people talk about flow state, it's the way I've heard it described is you lose track of time. You are caught up in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's a description of the flow state. I think that's just like a phenomenon. That's like a byproduct that we might notice in the flow state. Okay. But if you're in the flow state, you technically don't even notice that you don't notice time. You're just noticing that thing which you're engaged with. So flow state feels like the most purest suchness, most purest form of the activity. Like, it just feels like extreme awareness, I think.
Yeah, or immersion.
Yeah.
It's complete immersion.
You just feel like you have become like, almost like fallen, not fallen in love is a strong word, but I think fallen in like, or in you just really engaged, extremely engaged with something, but also changing it and advancing something forward, but you don't feel like you're doing it as an obligation.
Well, isn't that what work is, though, for the most part?
What?
It's doing something as an obligation.
Every time I want to take off and fly, this thing holds me back because I have a response to that. But for some reason, that's harder for me to tackle. It's like as I'm clicking this shit, the only things I can actually dive into and get real deep on and make sound good as it comes out are the things that I already have very well established in my head. The things that I'm still kind of figuring out that I could fly to, I have struggled with that. 'Cause I'm trying to respond to what you were asking me about. What was the last thing you asked me?
Oh boy. Isn't work essentially an obligatory something that is not the end in and of itself? Something you ought to do to have some kind of ends?
I think that every flow state advances something forward. Therefore, at the beginning of the flow state, before you started it or when you started it, the status of affairs, of things around you and in you and within you, just reality that you are and that you're a part of, the state of things are of a certain way. And when you're done with the flow state, some things have changed. Not around you, but you've changed some things because the flow state is partially like causing progress to occur. And progress is necessarily going to change things to be different from here on out. And it'll permanently be different. You know, you carve something out of wood, that piece of wood's never gonna be the wood that it used to be. You can get a new piece of wood that looks exactly the same, but it's not the same one. You know, so now you have a new carved wood, and now that's sitting there now that it exists. You can burn it, but then now you have a new burnt thing. That burnt thing didn't exist there before. Yeah, sure, that was forests burnt down. Those are all charcoal over there, but this piece is now new. You know, so it's like flow state. I think flow states change things. And when things are changed, a new state of affairs arises, and in that new state of affairs, you then go back out to it and you experience how things are different now. And those things that are different, you will enjoy you might enjoy how those things are now different, but then your tolerance builds up to that, and you now no longer enjoy how things are that different, and you now want something different again, something new again. And as you advance things forward and change things with your flow states, your sessions of flow states, I think you're climbing up higher and higher, gaining new pleasures, and simultaneously eliminating old struggles, because each flow state kind of eliminates some of the struggles. Because I think one part of the flow state is that you're putting an effort in to get rid of something that's bad and move towards something that's good. And so as you get rid of some bad things, you no longer have to deal with those bad things. So I think each flow state improves your ability to do flow state, and each playful obligatory mixture activity eliminates some obligations and brings on new plays.
But in the term itself, flow state, there's a notion of moving with something, where you're swept in the current and you're flowing with the stream.
I think
not resistance, not because what you're talking about is there's some kind of resistance being a motivator.
There is some resistance, I think, but that resistance is not against the current. It's to the current. it's not. You're not trying to stop the current from flowing. You're not even trying to stop some of it from flowing. I think what you're doing, the effort comes from directing the current, slight redirections of the current, which does require effort. But you do like that current, and I think that current is coming from the subconscious.
Okay.
And the redirection of that subconscious comes from the conscious. The redirection is conscious, and the current which is being redirected is subconscious. So when the subconscious and the conscious meet, there's effort, but because they meet and they're harmoniously doing their thing, as long as, because that's actually I think the other thing I'm just not realizing. There's no good in stopping the current. Is only good in directing it, but too much direction causes stoppage. So that's the balance. Strike the balance where you can direct the current consciously, but it's still coming out. It's still moving, and it's still your subconscious being allowed to flow. So I think it's the meeting of your deeper self and your higher self and your lower self. What the fuck? Just the two selves meeting.
The conscious and the unconscious.
Yeah, because when the two selves can meet, when the two selves can meet, I lost it.
No, I really like that. Yeah, I think the conscious aspect is the redirecting of the natural flow of the unconscious to some degree, but it's more of just like putting a rock in the stream and having it bend around it a little bit. It's not creating a dam.
Yeah.
Thinking about you bouncing between the camera shots, I'm still grappling with this technology thing.
Yeah.
Not this, but in general technology. Is it? Do you think is it all right if I shift a little bit?
Of course.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
No rules.
Cool. No rules. All right. Is it the inherent nature of certain technologies to be disruptive and interfere with what's natural for us, or is it the application of the technologies? Because I'm thinking of so when like mass-produced printed material was first distributed, the initial use was primarily pornographic.
Huh.
Yeah. So we studied this in one of my communications classes, that when technologies are first applied, there's often a period where we're not sure how to use them well. They're not used for the higher purpose, They satisfy those base instinctual urges.
I wonder if the base instinctual, what was the word?
Urges?
If the base instinctual urges have been in repeated suppression at every stage of civilization, every stage of technological advancement. So why is that so bottled up?
Yeah.
Because has it been suppressed this whole time? Why is it being suppressed? So I guess when I'm saying technology needs to also serve our natural needs is like I don't think that we should necessarily have like an artificial fleshlight vagina just like jerking us off artificially with like a robot arm.
Right.
But I do think that we should use a phone to call the person that we want to have sex with. And,
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm careful to not be too skeptical of new technologies and their applications. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the ancient Greeks, when they first started writing in mass, the philosophers were terrified that it was going to degrade the memory.
Degrade what?
Memory, our ability to remember things, because now we have this means to retain information extrasomatically outside of the body. Yeah, we now have the previous internal processes where we retained and processed and digested information now being less central to our knowledge base. So that makes me think that, well, if they were afraid of that aspect of something as fundamental as writing, then maybe it's just about engaging the technology in a certain way and letting things play out and not being so skeptical and fearful of how it could be applied.
You know, I think sort of like a multiple or infinite universe theory or whatever it is. I don't know if this theory is the one that holds this, but I know that some theory holds this idea that every single decision you make, every microsecond, causes creating new universes every microsecond. And I think that I almost feel like morally that's what happens, and cost benefit wise that's what happens. It's like, do I do this new thing that everyone's doing, or not everyone's doing, but do I do this new technological thing? Do I take advantage of it? But then it'll cause me this problem. Both directions contain some benefit and some problems. Sure. You know, it's like, well, if I don't jump on this technology, then I'm gonna go back to doing what I've been doing. Do I enjoy that? Is that really what's most meaningful to me? Am I done exploring that? Did I gain all the fruits from that I intended to gain? Is there any further exploration that I care for? Do I like the challenge? And I think that's probably where people need to go to mentally to check those boxes off. That's the box that I think needs to be checked off, is, do I like this challenge or not? Not, do I like this? Because it's like, of course you like cereal. Everybody loves cereal. Of course you want to eat it. That's not a box that needs to be checked off. Everybody checks that off. Do I like the challenge of eating something? Well, eating is not the best. Do I like the challenge of walking to work rather than driving to work? But it's so comfortable to sit in a car. Of course, and that's not the box I'm asking. What pleasures do you gain from the challenge of walking to work instead of driving? Well, I see the trees, I see the new petals, the spring, the breeze feels nice, my legs move more, my veins, I have better blood flow, you know? So does that challenge bring fruits that I enjoy? What about the fruits of driving? Do I enjoy those fruits? What do I enjoy about driving? Like, which challenge's fruits do you like more? But include the challenge in the fucking question.
Yeah, well, I guess that is I think the question though, is whether to include it. Because often when we employ new technologies, it's more about the immediate utility they have.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to grow a culture, or we need to have a culture, become a culture that's challenge conscious. Just like, know that every challenge, unless too much, every challenge is going to better you. It will improve you for your own good, for you, not for others. But as you become improved for you, you will then become an improvement for others, because you will be better able to help others when you are satisfied, or at least when you are healthy and capable and happy. You know, how can you give somebody else happiness if you don't even have any? You know?
Right.
So, and we can't live without challenge. As much as I fucking hate that, as much as, you know, it's like, then aren't we just stuck in a fucking Ferris or a gerbil wheel or whatever you call it?
Yeah, a hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel, yeah. we can't just get away from struggle.
I guess, maybe that is a pervasive issue with our society, is a natural aversion to struggle. And I think that's really the reason we do a lot of the things we do, is avoiding struggle, like with our applications of technology.
That's my problem. That's my problem with technology, is that I think we are tricking ourselves into destroying ourselves, because we think that comfort is the reason to adopt new tech. And the best analogy I got for that is that every single advancement with your cell phone, your laptop, I don't want to hold up my phone and type in the place I want to go to. I want just to tell Siri or tell Alexa or whoever the fuck, one of these women, tell them where to take me. Okay, fine. It's not fine. Then they'll listen to your voice constantly. Every conversation you have in your car or anywhere, because we have our cell phones here, is going to listen to it. Every single one. So every attaining of comfort gives up privacy.
It does.
And so
well, I think the thing with technology, though, is in a way we don't seem to like our private lives as much. When we engage our private lives, when we engage technology, we're often imitating the way others have used technology. In fact, there's like a set of directions of how to use a given technology. And it's breaking down the walls between other individuals and yourself, where now you have glimpses into their private lives. And you become more absorbed with that than your own life. So yeah, privacy is an issue. But it's almost like we don't want, it's not just the throwing away of it's not just the disintegration of the boundary of privacy, it's that we want to burn down what it is to be a single individual altogether.
This is something you believe or heard?
Yeah, well, with a lot of technologies, like the internet, for example, you now have access to the lives of so many other individuals. And you have everyone curating these idealized self-images on the internet. And you're using those as points of reference to understand your own identity. And naturally, you wouldn't hold up as well. So you start to replace your own identity with these aspects of other individuals, either through imitation or like celebrity worship.
But we do that naturally in our own private lives with our family members anyway.
We do, but now the degree to which you're able to do that is so extreme. And you constantly have access to someone else just at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So you are losing privacy, I think, with some of these technologies, but I'm more concerned with just the disdain of our private lives. Does that make sense?
Like what you're saying, the words all make sense. Like I know what you're saying verbally. I feel like you lost me in terms of like, are you valuing more what technology brings in terms of being engaged with everybody? Or you think that's the net benefit and our private lives are just not good enough?
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. My concern is not the breakdown of the barrier of self, the boundary, by all those technologies listening in. It's that people don't really even see the value of the self's barriers to begin with after this and during the technology's introduction.
And you're saying don't see it as a good thing or don't see it as a bad thing? Or
they want to replace the things that are inside the boundary of self because of these glimpses into outside ways of being.
My initial instinct is to disagree with that, because not disagree with it as like, oh, that's not happening. I think it is happening. I'm saying disagree with it as in like, I don't think it's a good thing. Meaning like, I don't think that people have a disdain with their own private, individual, internal lives. I just think that people haven't conquered that internal disdain yet, and once they do, they will not allow others' lives to be more central than their own private lives, you know? Like, I like my internal life. I don't. I'm not, and the thing is, I don't feel secure if I can't first dominate internally, not dominate, but like have harmony inside, which internal harmony includes some force inside dominating, and then those, who gets to dominate kind of changes throughout the day and throughout the weeks and years, but there has to be some sort of internal harmony going on between the forces, and I think that's all impossible if we're constantly tuning into whoever else's life makes us feel more comfortable at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's like running from your own world, internal world. I think that's a mistake to do for humans.
No, I totally agree. It's, I think, ironic that when we don't have that internal harmony, instead of engaging it and grappling with it more, we want to look outside.
We want to run from it.
Yeah, we want to escape or assume the identity of some other individual outside of us. Like with celebrity culture, it's bigger than ever. And people, like, some of these central, when people consider their identities, some of the central aspects are what musician or celebrity figure they idolize, So it's, I think, ironic that when we have those internal struggles, rather than engaging them, we go external.
I think, I do like the idea of reaching out to all these celebrities, not celebrities, but reaching out to all these external figures that we might have access to now with the internet and all this technology. I think they are good, they're good like ink, they're good paint colors to dip our brush into, so we can continue to build ourselves internally and try out those personality traits ourselves. Because like a child who grows up without a father might need to look around outside to find either bits and pieces of father figures to assemble some kind of father figure for themselves internally, so that they can sort of learn from them. But human beings need examples to not be the deciders and those who, like, this is how you do it from now on. Not like that. Just need examples, many of these examples, to show all these various ways to do life. And but the end game is to build your own way. And I think as we lose our way with technology and revealing all this information about ourselves, not only are we giving our enemies the ability to come kill us, or our families, or do something, or steal from us, or keep us at a certain economic level where we're not happy, that they keep fucking us in the ass. I think obnoxious music.
But see, I don't think this is the effect that it's having. I don't think others are providing inspiration by being examples. I think because they're portraying just these idealized images,
there's definitely a problem.
There's a sense of comparison, and you end up feeling really bad about yourself.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's definitely a fabricated version of examples. Like all these, like there's real life examples, and then there's the fabricated versions. And I think the fabrications are in high doses when it comes to going online, on the internet, or in TV. So I guess that does make it more difficult to be able to adopt a trait that actually can work in real life, because there are some traits you can't work into your life, like Arnold, all the things, the super strength and the way he looks. You can't. That may not even be fully watch the Terminator. You can't do what a robot does.
Yeah.
Or
right.
You can't have as much success in high school as all the coolest high school movies show you can. You watch those high school movies like, I wish my high school was like that. I wish that was the clear cut, that's the popular kid, that's the popular kid's sidekick, that's the awkward kid, and that's the bully, and that's the whatever, that's the good person, that's the wise guy. And I go back to my high school, it's just a mishmash of a fucking all kinds of a huge spectrum, repeated spectrums. Like, oh, there's that kid 3 times. All 3 of those kids are the same. They don't even know each other, but they're the same people. To me, they look like, the way they behave is like the same personalities. And there's this awkward girl, but there's 5,000 of these awkward girls, and then there's, it's like, this doesn't match the movies at all. This is not perfect. This is not good. It's like,
well, that is, I think, the thing is when you're seeing just glimpses of who individuals are or fictional portrayals of individuals, you're seeing a very one-dimensional archetype often. And the swirlings of the complex self beneath the surface, those are the things that I think tear us apart. We have so much cognitive dissonance pulling us in different directions, things that contradict. Like what I said earlier about wanting to satisfy certain base urges versus higher ideals of the self. I think we have that constant tug of war between different sides, but the way that things are portrayed, you're seeing just a surface level representation of them.
And so and we don't even know how to adopt from surfaces. I think we need to experience some people at their worst as well as their best to see if we can apply that, because some people at their worst may look angry, may be doing something negative, but in the long run that negative behavior can actually result in something good. So maybe it is good to adopt that version of negativity. And the other thing too, we act like negative personality traits, we act like there's negative personality traits that don't have any negative personality traits. That's what we act like. Especially you go to Facebook, everybody only puts on the best stuff themselves, And you watch movies and everybody's cool. Watch the Avengers, everyone's fucking witty.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a great line.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what about the shitty parts of ourselves?
Yeah.
Is that not okay? Is that not allowed? And I think that's one of the things that's one of the takeaways for these newer generations of this technology infatuation and these fabricated people, fabricated online personality traits, is that mostly all the fabrication is mostly just positive shit. It's supposed to be positive shit.
Course.
Where's all the negative behavior? I need to see negative behavior so I can actually let my negative emotions take form as well. Because if I don't see any examples, guess what? I might shoot up a school. Not because I want to, and I'm not saying I'm shooting up a school, relax internet. But if you don't have any way to let out your negative emotions, there's no forms and examples given for you for those to take form.
Or just that they're acceptable. They're just that negative emotions and traits are acceptable. That'd be just because everybody has them.
Yes.
On some level.
Yeah. Make it acceptable that there are negative behaviors, negative emotions. Therefore, it'll drip out. It'll come out in small doses. And it'll probably take form that might actually be of some use, as opposed to all negative emotion being suppressed, and then it all comes out when the kid is 17 who shoots up the school because they don't know where else to put that darkness that they've been feeling, because
they think they might feel alone in it.
Yeah, they've been shown that no, you can't have that. You can't feel that way. Oh, I'm alone. I'm the only one who feels this way. It's like that's what the response they get is like, yeah, you're the only one. You're alone in this. This world is crazy. It's like,
So what you're talking about really is an absence of vulnerability. There is
how so?
The portrayals on the technologies. There is an absence of showing one's darker self or showing the mistakes one makes. You're posting the one image on a vacation and you've taken 100 pictures. You don't show the one where it was like, ooh, that's not as flat. There's no vulnerability at all. Or very limited vulnerability. I think vulnerability is what allows people to connect.
To what?
To connect.
Well, vulnerability definitely becomes a very potent opening for connecting people in a world where strength and beauty and positive behavior are the only ones that are being propagated and spread around and shown to people. So when you see somebody who's vulnerable, like, Breath of fresh air. Yeah, you're human, I'm human. Oh my God, I thought I was the only one who was human. Everyone else is a fucking robot of perfection.
Right.
So yeah, I thought to myself, as you were saying, so what you're saying is vulnerability, yada yada. I thought to myself as you were saying that, I'm like, I was listening to what you were saying, but I kept thinking about the layer beneath, like why did your mind choose to go to the concept of vulnerability? And it makes me think about, or makes me wonder, because like, also what you're saying is vulnerability, and the thing is, I wasn't actually trying to say vulnerability, but I feel like vulnerability is what I was saying looks like if you flashed a light at it from an angle called, how other people see it. How do other people see it? They see it as vulnerability. But I was more so thinking of maybe a sort of societal structural, like the sort of mechanics of the system, of the structure of the social fabric, or the structure of humanity functioning as a system with mechanical parts. I was more thinking about it in terms of that. Just like looking at how does this function within the rest of the system of mechanical parts, and how does it benefit the rest of the system's mechanical parts. But I wasn't thinking about how the other functioning parts view that part, which they see it as, that's a vulnerability, which is where your mind went. And I'm not saying this that I thought your mind shouldn't have gone there. I enjoyed that direction.
Yeah.
Just saying that I was also thinking, like, interesting that his mind went to that direction. But it's like switching to another dimension of like switching to a different dimension and be like, let's look at it from this dimension now. Oh, you're talking about vulnerability. It was interesting. I thought it was interesting to see the switching of dimensions there.
Yeah.
Of angle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Instead of the societal level, you're.
Yeah, because what was I saying before you said? So you're talking about vulnerability?
There's a lack of negative traits being portrayed.
Yeah, I was more thinking of I feel sorry that first I feel sorry for people who are not able to, I think it's harmful. I guess it's like a health and well-being angle is how I was approaching it. And then I think vulnerability is the angle of like optics, like how does it look? Maybe not, because I don't necessarily believe that you were just trying to point out like, oh, how does that look to other people. I think what you were saying was deeper than that, but yeah, I guess I'm sort of, my concern was more so like I think it's pretty unhealthy for people not to have a negative outlet, an outlet for their anger, an outlet for their hate, an outlet for their sorrow or whatever, jealousy. Like these things need to take form so that they can leave the body. Keeping all this bottled up is what leads us to worse and worse behavior.
Right.
It has to come out. This shadow exists.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't get rid of it because it's half the fucking coin. Get rid of that side of the coin. Okay, go ahead, but then you're just going to reveal a new side because it's literally a two-sided object.
Or
it's one object rather.
Yeah. Well, it's about how one engages something that people consider negative. It makes me think about what I mentioned the other day, Nietzsche's On the Genealogy of Morality. He talks about the initial moral dichotomy being good and bad. And bad was something that you could engage and learn from, that it involved struggle and growth. And that good and bad dichotomy became good and evil. And now all of a sudden, what is negative was something you shouldn't touch at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's no learning from the negative side of that dichotomy. There is only, if you touch it, it is sin. It is worse.
You're right.
You're degrading yourself.
You're right. That's interesting. I can definitely see that like as a transition that occurred historically. Just like the way we talk about things, changing how we handle them. The label changes how we use it. It's weird. Labels are crazy powerful.
They are, yeah.
I'm realizing this now. Like for instance, like Robert Kennedy Jr. is running for president, and I'm realizing now, like just how powerful the campaign against him has been when it comes to like the label anti-vaxxer.
Oh, okay.
Everybody thinks he's an anti-vaxxer. Everyone.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's literally not an anti-vaxxer. All he's ever said was, we need to scrutinize these things.
Yeah.
We need to look at them closer. We need to test them more thoroughly, more long-term. And could we maybe allow vaccine manufacturers to be sued? Because that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
it does make sense.
Anything manufactured that people consume should be allowed to sue them if they did a bad job.
Yeah.
What I just described, that's all he's ever like said about these things.
Okay.
And yeah, there's some vaccines that he's come out to speak about, like, hey, this seems to be causing this because it's got this in it. And people are like, oh, you're anti-vaxxer. And that label has caused a lot of people who want to be protected from viruses, who work in, not just work in the industry of medical industry, but just like, it's just such a strong bad label for somebody. Because I've been vaccinated fully when I was a child, and I'm fine, I think. I mean, who knows? Maybe we're all a little bit more retarded now that we're all been vaccinated, and like, who knows? Maybe the people who are not vaccinated are all like having a higher level of intellect that we just don't even know because ours is being blocked by whatever microchips are in the vaccines, which is another stupid thing that I found was like another false decoy for people to get concerned, or people to dismiss anti-vaxxers about. It's like, oh, are you afraid of Bill Gates' microchips in the vaccines? It's like, that's not what people are afraid of, and that's not what the claims are. Nobody claims there's microchips in it, unless maybe some people do, who are really prone to believe just about any conspiracy theory, maybe. And maybe there's truth to it. I have no idea, but that's not what I'm concerned about. Yeah, and that's not the people I've listened to, who are sensible people, intelligent people, who know a lot about nutrition. That's not what they're concerned about. They're concerned about the substances. They're concerned about aluminum, lead, all that shit. And those are legit concerns. That's not even far-fetched.
Yeah, or something being marketed as a vaccine, and in fact, it's more of a gene editing tool.
You're talking about the mRNA platform?
Yeah, I mean, that's a vaccine is something where you have an inoculated version of the actual substance itself that's making you sick, not something that alters your genes in some way.
Yeah. So
that's not a vaccine.
Yeah, and the reaction to this is like, why the fuck are these two dudes who have no degree in this talking about this? Like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, first of all, we can talk about whatever the fuck we want, but more so than that is okay. I'm not an expert, but then let me see the experts debate the people who have indoctrinated me into false perspective about these drugs. Let's see the debate happening, because it ain't happening. Like, we've asked for those debates. The conspiracy theorists have offered to debate, and these experts who are saying you guys don't know what you're talking about are refusing to debate. Well, then what do you expect? I ain't gonna just believe you for nothing with just show me that your argument and what you're saying as an expert stands up to scrutiny. If you truly are an expert and what you're saying is truly true, there should be no issues, no difficulty, because you're the expert. The conspiracy theorist is a nut job. They're idiots. And you should be able to easily demonstrate that in a debate. But the fact that you can't tells me there's fire behind that smoke somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, there could well be that. I think there's also, like what you're talking about with labeling. Yeah. There's certain identity disqualifiers where someone can be completely condemned because this label has been applied to them. And I think that's where some of the resistance to have a dialogue is these people are just too out there, They're conspiracy theorists, and that's just a damning label.
Yeah. Even the words of the phrase conspiracy theorist, the conspiracy theorist bad, that negative stigma on the phrase conspiracy theorist has never reached me until recently. And now that it reached me, I'm like, I just don't get it. How is that bad? Like, oh, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe that conspiracy could be real. It's like, what's the difference? Theories are not bad. Conspiracies have existed. Having a theory that there may be a conspiracy going on is not a bad thing to say. Yeah. Like, maybe there's something conspiracy happening over there. It's like, how dare you say that there's something bad potentially happening
when
over
you
there?
Put it like that, it does make sense that, like a theorist, I mean, that's just someone speculating,
fucking science.
I think that's the thing, though. Some of these conspiracy theorists they're not theorists. They're people who are like this is the way it is, and it's really that simple. And if you don't believe it, all of you mainstream people, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. No, there's those people as well. And I am not a fan of people talking in like these absolute certainties, like that's what they're doing.
Right,
and that's what's going on. It's like, we don't entirely know that.
No, yeah.
I appreciate you.
I don't know if we can know anything. You know, there's some phenomenon going on around us, but it's.
Yeah, I
wouldn't say claim anything with 100% certainty.
Yeah. I've had fears about certain conspiracies, where I thought certain past events pointed to this, specific conspiracy theory being true, and then I lived in fear of that for some time, and then several months later I saw something that flew in the face of that conspiracy theory. I'm like, I'm glad I probably was wrong about that. You know what I mean? Like, that has happened.
That's, I think, really the essential thing, is it's okay to have a contrarian opinion, but I think you have to be able to revisit those theories when you get new information. Yeah. And I think that's where the challenge we face is often.
Yes.
Is people, they once they feel like they believe something, they close themselves off to other information.
Yeah, I think it's one of our flaws as humans. It's one of our very prominent flaws. But I think that's how every flaw in human nature, each generation or each iteration of civilization or era, it comes up and it has to be dealt with. Like right now, I think we're dealing with our inability to sort through bad information and good information, the age of information. It's difficult to sort through that. I think one of the things that we're dealing with also is this flaw in us that where whatever perspective or opinion we have of reality, we stick to that as if it's a fucking protection of our tribe, when our tribe should not be based on certain perspective of reality. It should be based on, what do you want to do in reality? Well, I want to grow some trees, to grow some fruits. Let's get together as a group to do that. That's what a group effort is for. That's what a tribe is for. Is put your effort and energy together, and together in higher numbers you have a higher power, more power to get something done at faster rates. That's what being in a group is all about. That's why villagers stick together. That's why tribes stick together and hunt together and gather and forage together. But you don't stick together to keep pushing for this perspective, that this is the truth. The truth doesn't care about how many people believe it or disbelieve it. It's either true or not true, or it's either partially true or partially false. Whatever the fuck, So, and so this idea of gathering together into a tribe to either dismiss or prove something to be the case, to be the truth, causes us to then dig in our heels when it comes to opposition who disagrees with that perspective, simply because we know that the group we got together with, that we got together for proving this point, we're gonna fall out of that group. And we don't like falling out of groups, because we like to be with groups, because we like to be part of higher numbers, because that feels safer. And I think that's one of the mistakes we've been making as humanity is we don't need to group up for perspective. We need to group up for efforts. And so,
well, I think beyond just the group, I think we want stability of identity. And when you have certain beliefs,
I think that's being one component of it. That's important.
Yeah, I think when you have those cornerstone beliefs, reframing who you are based on new information, it's a scary process.
Yeah,
it's destabilizing.
It is. I do think, though, that I do think that framing who we are does come from that. However, we need to make sure that we have enough of a group identity from groups that are together for the purpose of getting something done for some kind of benefit. But sure, the group can have also put some effort into getting a certain truth out. But the group's glue should not be a truth. The group's glue should be an effort, right? And so some of the glue could be about getting some truth out, because technically, in order to put effort into something and get something done as a group, there are some things that you have, like, you can't do that without information being available to you. And so you first have to sort out, well, what information is true and what's not. And if one of the information that the group needs in order to function and move forward is to determine whether something is, whether a certain pesticide is safe to use or not, if you're planting trees or, or planting fruits, berries, whatever the fuck, and you find out that a certain pesticide is not safe, well, let's say that information is false. Let's say the pesticide is in fact safe, right? If you decide to argue that, hey, actually I have found out this other info source that says that this pesticide is indeed safe, the rest of the group, either because they haven't read that, so it doesn't impact them, doesn't convince them as much, or they just don't believe it. Maybe they think differently. Who knows? They're gonna be like, well, I don't believe that. We don't believe that. We don't believe that article that you read. And then you're like, yeah, but our efforts could be faster if we just use this pesticide and it's safe. It says on it. It says that, research shows that it's safe. And the other ones are like, well, we want a little careful of trusting that source. Like, well, why particularly this source? Why not? Why are you trusting the other sources but not this? And then then you start falling out of the group. And so, but simultaneously, the rest of the group is like, well, we still need you to help us plant trees. So can you just concede? Okay, maybe you're right, but we just don't want to risk it. So can we just go ahead and do it without that pesticide anyway? And maybe because that person already feels the glue is made out of so many other things, not just about perspective and truth or information, that they're like, all right, I guess we disagree on that, but I still want to work with you guys because everything else we do is so important. It's like to have a glue that's predominantly effort-based for a certain cause that you all need, but not, based on just a bunch of political perspectives.
Right.
Oh, we all hate Trump. That's what we get together for. Like, well, good luck staying in that group if one of you stops hating Trump. You know what I mean? If one of you starts like thinking like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. Maybe we've been lied to. If we were lied to.
I think we have identified certain like hot button issues as the things that will cause someone to fracture away from a group, or for two groups to fracture away. Yeah. And I don't know if I agree with all of those things. You're talking about being like an effort-based thing, or wanting to plant trees. Well, that's not really the hot button issue that would cause a fracturing of an agriculture group.
I'm saying that's not it either.
Yeah. But I think it is, but it shouldn't be. I think there are certain identity politics,
of course,
things that are causing fracturing of groups.
Yeah.
And I don't know if all of those issues are things that should be causing the fracturing of groups.
That's a very nice way of putting what I would put way more starkly and bluntly.
Yeah.
I think that very little of those ideology issues should be causing people to disband, unless if your whole group is banded together simply because of those ideology groups, then like, I mean, that's on you. You banded together because of some information you thought was correct, and then what, you grow a new perspective because you read new information. Now that makes your group fall apart. You were stuck together with fucking child's glue that you stick a little piece of paper on another paper with that little rub it on thing. That's so weak. Like, that's a group can't survive that. And it's not really. I would not even call that a genuine. It's not really worth being called much of a group. It's just a temporary whatever. I don't know what I would call that. But there's a lot of that going on. A lot of people are becoming friends based on politics rather than like come over to my house.
Right.
Well, we invite you to dinner.
Yeah.
How nice it is that we are eating here together. Yeah, but what do you think of Trump? Can we just eat and do the thing that's way more substantial?
Yeah.
Than what I think about Trump?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, there's way too many people who have family members who support the opposite political thing than whatever they support. And it's like, so you're going to lose your family because of that? That's stupid.
It does seem like that, yeah.
Well, but then it makes one wonder how strong has the family glue been anyway, if politics can tear it apart. And I think that speaks on a way deeper problem we're currently facing. That the family is like the glue in family is kind of getting a little loose, scarily loose, and it's causing me to like wanting to be a fighter for it. I don't know what ways. I mean, I've only done it through verbal ways, but I also do it through other ways, like when I got you the chocolate. You know, that was that was just, I don't know, like it's like a natural thing. Like food is like one of the biggest things that keeps people coming together, and it becomes a social glue, but that glue is far more deeper and stronger than many other things. Like, oh, you like I don't know, Rand Paul, whatever. I like Rand Paul. Like, yeah, but you're not gonna hang out tomorrow because you both like Rand Paul.
Right. Yeah. Sharing resources. Is more substantial.
Sharing resources. Yeah. You just summed up what I was trying to say.
Well, I think the groups that we feel compelled to share resources with is smaller than ever. I'm thinking of like communities that used to raise children kind of together. You know, it took a village to raise children. Now we have much smaller, isolated groups in terms of the sharing of resources, at least. Not necessarily with identity politics, but it's the sharing of resources now, it's almost, we're even more individualistic too.
Yeah,
the scarcity of resources has caused people to close the circle more and more of sharing.
I would actually, I think the opposite may be the case.
Really?
The abundance of resources might have caused people to close because why share? Everybody has it, you know? Like, why do I need to give it to you? You already have some. Although then one could say, why would I share it with you? I don't have enough of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I know, that's interesting. I think both of us have some truth, and I don't know where the truth is in between those two.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has plenty of the immediate pleasure stuff, and everybody lacks the deeper micronutrients, the things that the basics, not even micronutrients, but like the basics that we all need. Like I think most people lack a sense of strong community these days.
Absolutely.
And I think the reason for that is one of the contributing factors is that technology makes everything so easy. That creates an abundance. And in the abundance, we do not need to rely on each other. If we don't need to rely on each other, we do not need to become, we don't need to find a way to, we don't need to find the method by which we know how to trust somebody else. And if we don't need to find somebody to trust, we don't have to open up and be vulnerable. And if we don't need to be open to be vulnerable, we can't connect. Which that's something you pointed out, I don't know how many tens of minutes ago. So there's this lack of deeper connection between people because we don't need to share resources because we have an abundance of these resources. I just don't know, I guess I'm not saying that we have an abundance of every single resource, just like the immediate resources. Like everybody has a car. In Hungary, where I'm from, a lot of people don't have a car. I mean, a lot of people do, but many people don't. Way less people have cars. Smaller percentage, way smaller. And fuel is twice the cost. Twice the fucking cost. Wages are half the fucking amount as well.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy proportions. So it's way more difficult to live there. And therefore, people often share rides, give each other rides. And if you give someone a ride, it's actually worth more because fuel is more costly and took you time, and that time is more precious because the amount of time you spend on work and every other effort generates less goods because the economy is not as good. So it's like time is more precious there. So if you give up your time and some of your money, meaning you spend money on fuel with which you give somebody a ride or share food with somebody, it's far stronger of a bond there than it is here, but still here, it's still a bond. It's just, I think we need to share other things. not the things that are there's an abundance of here. I think we need to share other things. I also think we need to find ourselves in a state of being in need, or at least recognize that when we're in need of something and we don't have, and sort of just rely on each other for it, not on Siri and Alexa and Google and all this bullshit. Which is not bullshit. They have their uses. I just wish they didn't listen to everything I'm saying. Because I don't believe that they're intending good.
Yeah.
And if they're, or whatever their definition of good is not my definition. You know? Do not watch me.
Yeah, I think the data, monetizing the data is really why they're listening.
Yeah. But I have a conspiracy theory as to why they're monetizing data. In the news you see like people talking about like, oh, Google sells your data. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think that's like a fake outrage. Because I don't know if I give a shit. I can't sell my data. You know? You can't even sell that for anything worth money unless it's sold in bulk. You gotta sell it in bulk. What am I gonna sell my individual data for 2 cents a day?
No, but I think the concern is that if this data were to be leaked in some way, that you could be condemned by certain things that you might do or say in your private world.
Well, I don't even mean just that. I mean, they're selling the data for advertisers, and so they can advertise to you more personally.
Right. But my issue is if there is this data being collected, there's always the risk of the data being leaked. And if the data is leaked, well, we've seen what happens when people's private conversations have been released to the public.
Yeah.
And it has not been good.
That's true, although I don't know if I've heard that concern being raised so coupled. I haven't seen that being coupled so strongly with these ideas about how we don't want our information sold to pharmaceutical companies so they can advertise medicine for us or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want my information sold. It's like
that's not my concern. Yeah. The advertising aspect is not my concern.
What?
The advertising aspect is not my concern.
The average what?
The advertising.
Aspect. Sorry.
The advertising aspect. Yeah. No, it's more about things that are said in private or done in private being released to the public.
Yes, but they keep mentioning. They kept saying like your information being sold. Again, I don't mind it. I mean, I do mind it being sold. I don't want it being sold. But that's not. I guess my concern is that I don't think it's being sold. With the intent that we assume, and I don't think that people are buying it. I don't think those who are buying it are the people we think who are buying it. I think my conspiracy theory is that if there is a shadow government, if there is deep state, I assume they are the ones who are paying for this. They're buying all that information, not because they care about any single one of us, but because my suspicion is they want to keep their hand on the pulse of the population. That way they know how to herd them.
Right, yeah, it's a control thing. Yeah, it would be. And
that's why I have a problem with it. I sell my info. I can't make money off of that shit anyway. I mean, don't sell it, but you know, compared to what I just described, compared to that, I don't give a shit if they sell my info. That's way less of a concern. I'm more concerned about how we collectively give up our information or have it collected and scraped, and how that's going to be used to push economics and conditions in a direction that where they can make us behave in very predictable ways, and they can just bring about sort of these futures that they idealize, that they think is good, or at least they think is good for them. And that's where I have a problem with it. That's where I have a concern with it.
Well, what about when they're building these profiles based on your data for you as an individual? What about the selective exposure that you have then to certain information? They're like algorithms would be producing information that is something that can be digested by you, or steer you in a direction that's palatable to you. it can be used, I think, as a tool of manipulation. If you have a profile on someone, knowing what information they can reach them, or where they, you can drop the breadcrumbs in a way that...
Exactly. 100% see what you're saying. Yeah, it's almost like people who are not in echo chambers yet. They can be, with the breadcrumbs, they can be led into echo chambers using the algorithm.
Right.
I can see that being the case as well. Yeah, that would bother me as well. However, I do think the antidote to that is don't just surf the internet. And don't just surf information online or wherever based on whatever the fuck you feel pleasurable doing. Look for challenges that are enjoyable to you, so that it's not all just leading you on with each crumb. You don't look for crumbs. Look for a tree to climb, so you can get a fruit. Like, look for a challenge. Look for your kind of challenge. Find the challenge each day, because I think we are programmed to work, but I don't mean like be this mindless laborer. I just mean like I think we're programmed for progress, and that means we want to find problems to fix, which means our brain is constantly going around looking for problems.
Right.
And so until we become the decider of which problems we're gonna tackle, and we just keep looking for solutions thrown our way, we're gonna still be looking for problems. But I think if we don't find our own problems to deal with, problems are going to be created for us, because we're infatuated with just pleasure all the time and pleasure everywhere. And then we're going to start getting hungry for problems, and they'll just feed us the problems, such as white privilege, or insert opposite of that, whatever the opposite, just to be fair. I don't know. I mean, white privilege is obviously not the only fake problem. I mean, there's some truth to the white privilege thing, but I just think the way it's being handled and executed is stupid. And I think it's causing people to be divided.
It is.
And we all know where division does, and where division leads us. It leads us to conquest of us.
Yeah.
And so I know there is some form of white privilege. I get it, but we're certainly not tackling it. We're certainly not solving it by whatever it is that we've been doing. This is not helping.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing I've been like wondering, like, if I ever get told again that I have white privilege, which I haven't been told since I left college.
Okay. Yeah.
But I've been told that there plenty of times.
People have thought it, though, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah. I have said it about me, maybe.
Yeah,
but I didn't hear it because they don't tell me to my face.
Yeah.
Because anyway, but I thought to myself, like, I kept thinking about it, questioning it, and I eventually arrived at a point where I realized if I ever get asked again or told again like I have white privilege, I'm probably going to ask them, okay, what do I do? Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
What do I do about it? Well, you just need to acknowledge it. Good, done. But what's next?
Yeah.
What do I do with that? Because I don't see how that's helping move anything forward. Me being aware of that, I'm aware, cool. I have it better than some people.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with having it better than some people? You want me to give you money?
Yeah.
That's gonna help you? Then I'm being the white savior.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm a problem now. Every step I take is a problem for you because I'm white. Do you want things to get better or not?
It's a good question.
So, and there's like so many other parts of that ideology that I've thought about, because I adopted it back in college, because I was like, I agree with these principles. There are these issues happening. Oh wow, I didn't think of that. That is white privilege. You're right. Yada yada. I just kept like adopting all these ideas, and then I saw other people were sort of acting on them, and I started acting on them that way. Then over time I realized this is isolating me from a lot of people. It's also not, I don't really feel like it's very natural to me. I'm certainly not happy. or not happier. Like I don't feel like I'm getting anything done. I just feel like I'm constantly cornered every time I do anything, especially because I'm white straight male. The only card I got is that I'm a foreigner.
Yeah.
But I don't like to use that because I didn't accomplish that.
Yeah.
Don't reward me for having been, disadvantaged in my past. I didn't accomplish anything. I just I had a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I like that's not fun. I want to get something cool done, and enjoy the fruits of that. Enjoy recognition for that. Something I've individually done. Like, oh, you're a foreigner. You're so cool. You're so great.
Yeah.
Like that feels fake. That I'm sure you don't think I'm actually great for being a foreigner.
Great. What? Say that again.
I'm sure that whoever say that doesn't actually believe that I'm better because I have that, that victim card.
Yeah. Well, some might.
Huh?
Some might.
Some might, but those people I think are lost.
Yeah.
Just like I was.
Yeah. Actually, being victimhood seems to be celebrated right now in our society.
It is. Oh, big time. Yeah. And my God. I don't know if that's causing people to become stronger. If your victimhood is being celebrated, strength is not being celebrated.
Yeah,
the strength is toxic masculinity, toxic whatever the fuck.
Well, the trick with victimhood is when you consider yourself a victim, it allows you to take the responsibility of wherever you're at off of your own shoulders. It's not your fault, it's someone else's.
Yes.
But in doing so, you're giving up your own free will and authority.
Agency.
Your own agency over your life. You're saying, I'd rather the blame be put here than on myself, but then I don't have, what about your own agency?
Yeah.
You're giving that up in that process.
Yes, I'd rather practice blaming, the act of blaming, than practice whatever movements get me out of the situation. But that's why it's tricky though, because there is truth in identifying victimhood. Like this person was a victim.
Of course, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
You had it more difficult than these other people. That's true.
Other people are responsible for certain effects that have been had on your life.
And that's terrible. Yeah. Those people should not be doing that. That's right. They are to blame for having done what they have done. But the act of blaming them is not an action that actually results in progress. But simultaneously, it should be acknowledged who is to blame.
It's used as a way to punish, formally or informally, a group that seems to be partly to blame for something.
Yeah.
But it's not really something that liberates you as an individual.
Yeah, that's what it is. You don't liberate. There's no liberation in being and seeing yourself as a victim. And the other problem with blaming somebody and only actively doing just blaming somebody is you're waiting for somebody else to liberate you. And
or you can't be free until they admit their wrongdoing and make amends.
That, and also, by the way, they admitting that they were wrong. Oh, I admit that I have white privilege or domestically born here privilege or whatever if I'm not a foreigner.
Yeah.
I admit that I have that privilege. Like, oh, suddenly my past struggles are erased.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
You admitting that doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
It's like, so just, it feels like it's such a hard thing to put our finger on, but I assume that the direction it leads us is just sort of getting caught up in, just feels like it's going to generate slowly but surely a caste system. It would. I'm not saying it's going to. I think way too many people are waking up to how stupid this shit is, and way too many people have read things about communism. But it feels like this thing has like the ability has the potential to generate a caste system, whereby people get allotted a certain amount of equity based on their status of the site status. Insert criteria. Well, currently the criteria is you are straight male and you had it better, therefore we're going to shift the equity from you to somebody who had it easier or had it more difficult than you. Because you had it easy, so you have more equity, so let's just shift it, even it out, give it to somebody who has less equity, so that it evens out. Like, okay, So, but who gets to decide who that shifts to? Who's the person who decides that?
Yeah.
Who is that? Well, that's the government, of course. Cool. We're back to totalitarianism.
Yeah.
At least in its function. Maybe equity is more evenly spread out, but it's done so through totalitarianism. Now that motherfucker is gonna keep that power. They're gonna keep that power. Nobody's gonna give that power up once they have it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, all in all, I think some of the key to these issues is challenging oneself, having some self-discipline, and then that self-discipline grows value internally. And I think once we grow value internally, we value ourselves, and that'll make us happier. And then once we're happier, we can give happiness to other people, some of it, and I think that'll make other people happier. So the sort of compassionate helping effort through genuinely wanting to help, not because it'll make us look good, because I'm an ally to this victim. Look how good I am.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's
help.
a lot of identity signaling, virtue signaling.
Yeah, virtue signaling. No, I want to help them because, I want to help. Like they're having a problem. I don't want them to have a problem. Let me help you. Just that. What do you think you'll get in return? I wasn't even thinking about return.
Yeah.
You said soft ending at around 3:30.
Yeah.
I think it's 3:30.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to end it, but
I think I'm reaching a point.
Reaching a point?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is that good with you?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know how to wind down because me ending this is not how I wind down. Like me turning this off is not how I'm gonna wind down.
Yeah.
I'll turn it off and then I'll wind down.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, let's do that.
To turn it off and wind down?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Folks. So cool.